If you'd asked me 3 years ago if I wanted to get into this business, I probably would have said, no way. You wouldn't believe the kind of messes with clients. Getting screwed here, getting ripped off there, it was all over the place. I was pretty much the only licensed electrician who actually knew what was going on. And working for $85? That's just not cutting it. You ain't left with 50 bucks, maybe 10 if you're lucky. 3 years ago, it was quite an interesting experiment. Hey guys, what's up? This is Vadim from Allsip Truck Repair, and I'm gonna try my hand at doing a vlog-style podcast. A lot of my subscribers say it's about time. I think now is exactly the right moment to start. Many of you don't know who I am or where I even came from. Well, let me tell you a little about myself. I was born in St. Petersburg, from Russia. Since 2017, I've been here with you all, in America. Why did you decide to get into the trucking business specifically? Of course, it naturally had to come to this indeed. From 2004 to 2009, I used to work at an official BMW dealership in Russia, interned in Germany, studied in Moscow, and overall, my standard of quality was really formed during those years. Here in America, I also managed to work at an official BMW dealership for a while. I've done all sorts of jobs, drove for Uber, hauled stuff while moving, and worked on construction sites too. Unfortunately, I had to start from the bottom again and climb my way up step by step. Nowadays, like many of you probably know, me and my partners run a shop fixing up big rigs. I also got my trucking company, Dodge Trucking. We're moving forward, little by little. We're also moving into a new shop now and hiring new employees. It took quite a long time to get into truck repair. To start with, my partner Maxim and I opened a car repair garage in Orlando, Florida. We bought cars at auction, restored them, and sold them. There were also several dealers who brought us cars for restoration. And basically, regular customers also brought their cars to us for bodywork, electrical repairs, engine replacements. Well, for me, honestly, it wasn't a problem at all to do repair work. After all, I have a technical mindset and the quality standards I developed 100 years ago when I worked at a dealership. After a while, Max and I realized our truck shop in Tampa just wasn't taking off. So I decided to buy myself a new truck, got it on a lease buyout from a company, and opened my own MC number, calling it Dodge Trucking. I rode around for a while longer and realized that I needed to do something next. And I was offered a job in Orlando as a fleet manager on the condition that I wouldn't abandon my own trucking company and that my company would be fully under the protection of a large trucking company. After some more time, I guess I grew even more. I started working with owner-operators, and like a lot of us ambitious dudes, for better or worse, we decided to go out on our own. After a while, our current third partner, Muradov Husnuddin, hi there, suggested we open a shop together in Chicago, but I couldn't handle all of that on my own, just the two of us. So I invited my partner Maxim, whom you all see in our videos as well. He was also involved in this process, and we moved from Orlando, Florida to Chicago in either 2022 or 2023. I can't remember exactly, and that's where we are now, still to this day. But just to repeat, we are moving to a new shop. The idea of having our own shop came to us only because after servicing almost 286 trucks in total, which we had 3 years ago, the trucks were being serviced everywhere, all across America. The main topic was the scam that it was all a fraud. They took money and did nothing, didn't solve our problems. Right from the start, I've been showing this in my videos, here they cheated. Though they cheated, it was everywhere. And one of the biggest ripoffs out there is the hourly rate hustle. Lots of customers call and ask, what's your hourly rate? I say, 160 bucks. Man, that's too much. I can get it done for 85 somewhere else. Friends, you need to understand that what should matter to you is the total cost of the entire renovation. For example, I might charge 9 hours to replace 2 kingpins on a Freightliner at $160 an hour. Other places, they'll bill you for 14 hours at $85. I've shared a ton of stories on my videos about stuff like this, like changing a water pump on a Volvo that cost someone over $1,300 at $85 an hour. And on top of that, they threw in a cheap knockoff part instead of the real deal. Although, doing all this with the original cost me way less. Here's another pretty interesting case. We also had a Kenworth come in with a ton of problems. 600,000 miles on it. And I've never seen a DPF filter this clog up before. It's got a Cummins engine, and for those who know, Cummins doesn't have that 7th injector that adds extra fuel during reg-in to heat up the after-treatment system. So what happens here is the 6 injectors it does have start running way too rich, and that's supposed to burn off the soot in the DPF. But as you'll see in the video, the DPF just couldn't clean itself out this time. So now we have to send this filter out for diagnostics and cleaning as well.
All right, guys, check this out. A pretty wild case. A 2023 Peterbilt 579 with a Cummins under the hood. Basically, we took the DPF off because we couldn't get the regeneration to work properly. This here's the DLC catalyst. It's got straight through cells. And this here is the DPF from the Cummins. And it's just, look, completely clogged up. We couldn't even get the regeneration to start. You see, it's completely clogged. It's really rare to see something like this, but it's totally blocked. Let's take a look at what's happening on the other side. The main thing is not to break it. Now we need to check here to see if there are any cracks. Although it feels like we might still be able to. We'll send it for cleaning now, and it should get cleaned out. And the design of this DPF is completely different from the one on the Freightliner. Now I'll show you what it looks like on Freeliner. Why do I like DPF Cummings or Paycar? It's the same thing. And the International also has the same Cumming jar more than the Freeliner, because let's take a look at what makes them different. This is the Freightliner of the G17 generation, up to 2022. There's also the G21 as well, or IPA 21, which started showing up on Freightliners later. They still got a single-piece DPF, but even there, it's different, right? But with Cummins, with Paycar, as you can see, it's a modular design. The manufacturing process at the factory is completely different. Here, it's basically a lot of individual DPF filters glued together with some kind of special heat-resistant cement. And this system is much more reliable than the one on the Freightliner, where you have one big solid filter that very often cracks. So that's just my conclusion about why I like the DPF filter on the Cummins much more. But this Peterbilt is going in for cleaning on Monday, and we'll see what kind of report they give us. Now let's get some air, set everything up over there, and try to spray it from the outside. All right, let's take a look at what we see from the side after we remove the cover. But visually, it looks like we don't see any damage. It seems like it hasn't actually broken apart. Now let's try to gently blow through it with air pressure.
But once you get everything set up, you realize that $95 an hour is basically impossible. Because even just a good, responsible employee with tools and everything will cost about $45 an hour. And working for $85 or $95 just becomes physically impossible because you don't end up with $50, you end up with $10. Anyone who offers cheap repairs, there are two options. Either they have super unqualified employees working there, or they're scamming you in some way, or maybe the company just doesn't even know yet how much this work is actually supposed to cost, and they're just trying to attract clients somehow. Now, after 3 years in the business, I can say that yes, we really do know a lot. Our main line of business was in shop. We're a trucking company that used to repair our own trucks, and all the experiments at first were done on ourselves. 3 years ago, it was a pretty interesting experiment, ours and yours, since you came to get your trucks worked on by us. The growth path for the shop would have been a bit faster if we had some solid cash right off the bat, you know? Just imagine, the shop we currently have costs us a significant $24,000 each and every month, and that's with a generous 54 parking spaces conveniently included. Also, approximately $6,000 a year goes to insurance, and an additional $5,000 to $6,000 is spent on heating, since, after all, we're in Chicago and it's very much winter. The amount of equipment never stops growing. It keeps increasing every time. Just buying the equipment for alignment, plus a balancing machine for wheel balancing, and the equipment that helps remove and install wheels, that's another roughly $120,000. Again, to move into this space, we had to pay a $60,000 deposit. And right now, in total, we've purchased a significant amount of equipment, including lighting, some extra heaters, specialized hydraulic jacks for transmissions. All of that typically costs 3 times more than for a regular car. At the moment, I can say that only about $450,000 have been invested in equipment, plus about another $100,000 is the remaining product. So you need to understand what kind of amount you need to have in order to reach the level of shop that we have right now. Now that we're moving, I can't even imagine how much more money we'll have to invest there. It's almost $200,000 just for the deposit so that we can move in there. My main popularity as a blogger in this field actually started when I began posting videos about repairs, especially about electrical work, since originally our shop was really popular for bodywork, replacing roofs, painting front ends, restoration, you name it, we did it. And the second topic was electrical work. The thing is, I was really the only certified electrician who actually understood what was going on. And then I started teaching all the other guys in our team. And even one of the bloggers who's no longer with us, he was actually a really talented student. But before me, he basically didn't know or understand anything in this area. So as of today, we already have some additional people who we're continuing to train. And in the same way, we're still going to need staff for our new shop. So this is kind of an ad, too, saying that we're looking for more specialists who are up to speed with what's going on. So speaking of electrical work, here's one of our latest cases. We had a truck come in that had issues with the fan clutch, and we had to figure it out ourselves.
Today, a truck came to us with a problem. The fan clutch wouldn't disengage. The owner said that the engine had recently been replaced here, and after that, things started acting up. Here it is, the fan clutch itself. It's controlled by this pneumatic valve. First, we checked the fan clutch itself. Mechanically, everything was working. Next, we checked the pneumatics and the actuator. Both were fine. Then we started looking into the wiring. Someone had already tried to fix it before us, but they didn't find the problem. We checked every connector thoroughly, and after about 20 minutes, we found the exact issue. Several wires were damaged. In our shop, we have an original set of connectors for different plugs, complete with ready-made pins. Male and female connectors for Freightliner, super handy when you're working with wiring. We restored everything, insulated it properly, using original tape. Alright, let's try to start it up now. The fan clutch works perfectly. We beat this truck, fixed the problem, and sent the driver back out to make money. Every day, we film how trucks are repaired in our shop just for you. And remember, we always keep all the electrical work under control.
What's the difference between an electrician's job and a mechanic's? A mechanic diagnoses for 5 minutes and works all day, but an electrician diagnoses all day and fixes it in 1 minute. At the moment, we've also managed to build a really strong, solid team of mechanics, and we frequently change the clutch discs quite often, almost every single day. And we even have a video showing how we do it and what you should watch out for when replacing a clutch. You can actually diagnose a clutch disc ahead of time instead of waiting for it to die on you out on the road, where it'll cost you 3 or 4 times more.
A client came in for a suspension replacement and mentioned that sometimes his transmission doesn't work. So we ran 2 main tests. Both of these tests failed. Now, let's take a look at the current condition of the contact ring. How exactly does the clutch disengage? So, in this way, the contact patch of the pedals is directly interacting with this bearing. In this case, this potentiometer or Hall sensor, which determines the clutch disengagement position, goes very deep toward the engine, which leads to incorrect calibration. And unfortunately, it doesn't pass. If we look at the clutch disc itself right now, it still has, as they say, some life left in it. But since there's wear here, here, and here, a little wear is also possible on the flywheel, actually. Also, wear on the pressure plate causes the transmission control unit to think that the clutch is already done for or about to fail, and it might activate some kind of limp mode that at least lets the truck make it to the service station. So pay attention to what's happening here. Just how worn out everything is. Here, the springs are loose. This is a non-standard clutch. It's the 430 version. Notice the clutch, it hasn't actually burned out yet. But we can also see that it's already misaligned because the grooves are all gone. Next, let's look at this side. The same story. Look, there are some little pieces sticking out right here, and the mileage here is only about 600,000. But honestly, judging by the wear, I think it's actually closer to 800, maybe 850,000. I think in this case the client is really lucky that he decided to change the clutch right now, because if it broke down somewhere on the road, it would have cost 1.5 to 2 times more, not to mention the lost cargo. So the main thing, friends, is to repair your truck not when it breaks down, but a little bit in advance. We'll also take it off now and check it out. Bring it over here and see if there was actually a hole in it or not. Really, just in time. All right, friends, we're taking it apart. Here's what the countershaft brake looks like here. The design is a bit different from the traditional version. But no, it's not that bad. We'll clean everything up and put in a new gasket. The set of discs will be new too. That's it.
Thank you all so much for staying with us, choosing us, and trusting our shop. Also, in our new shop, we're going to be working on trailers, repairs, reefers, and also bodies, replacing panels, welding, basically everything related to trailers. We'll take care of all of that. We're also going to work on straight trucks. Also, friends, just like we originally planned at Alsip Truck Repair to focus only on body shop work,
then switched to mechanics and forgot about bodywork.
We're going to do body work again as well. Yes, we're going to fully install a spray booth that won't bother anyone. We're also going to rent out our parking spots, and there are 154 of them. We'll probably come up with a good promotion to get people interested in coming to us. Honestly, if someone had asked me 3 years ago if I wanted to get into this business, I probably would have said no, because during this time you can't even imagine how many interesting situations have come up, dealing with customers and all sorts of screw-ups. In any case, we keep learning every day, and there's always something new coming up, and we run into problems we've never faced before. But the team we have today is being put together to match my temperament somehow. Just like I work all my conscious life as an employee, the people working here now are very, very similar to me. Yes, unfortunately, there were 2 employees, very good ones, that we had to say goodbye to at some point. Friends, the most important thing you need to understand is that this channel, and really all my social media, we run them to show how this business actually works from the inside. I keep making videos for you, showing what and how we do things, how hard it is, how tough it is physically, morally, emotionally, and financially. Maybe this will serve as a warning to some of you not to do things the way I did. A year ago, I made a video where I talked about how I basically had to separate from my wife and let my child go back to Russia. In short, I lost a lot because of this business, and maybe I even look a little older now. Friends, I guess our first podcast, if you can call it that, has come to an end. Of course, I really want to ask you to leave comments about whether you like this video or not, and if we did things right. Obviously, I'm also trying to learn from my colleagues, how they make their videos. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Friends, I wish you all a great mood, and make sure not to stray too far from our shop. Bye.